Hey there, I want to talk to you today about something a lot of couples feel but rarely talk about out loud, such as why doesn't my spouse appreciate me or show affection anymore? And if you are a husband or a wife in your late 20s, you have a family, you're raising your kids, you're working hard, you got a full time job, and you're just trying to keep the household running, understand you are not alone if you ever felt unseen. You're juggling bills, you have this work stress, kids who wake up at all hours of the night, and yet you still want to feel close. You want your spouse to say, I see you and I appreciate you and I love you. My name is Frank DeGrasse, a couples counselor, and if you've been enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to my channel so that you can get the weekly updates of all the upcoming videos that I put out every single week to help you become a better spouse, a better mother, father, husband, wife for you and your family. If I can impact the marriage, then I can help your family. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about this. So, but what happens when this closeness of or these sayings of I appreciate you, I love you? What happens when that doesn't come? Because you might start to wonder what's wrong with me, and you might think about the relationships such as are we drifting apart? So let me assure you this. This is a common phase in marriage. This is something that happens a lot in relationships. And emotional closeness and not showing appreciation, not showing affection, that happens a lot. And I want to give you some hope that this is not hopeless. This is common. So, why doesn't my spouse show me affection or appreciation in our relationship? The first reason is this: you both have different love languages. Maybe you show love through words or through hugs, through words of affirmation, physical affection, quality time, acts of service, gifts, small gifts of appreciation and things. But your spouse shows love by doing the dishes or working long hours to provide for the family. It's not that they don't love you, they just simply speak a different language. In Proverbs chapter 24, verse 3, it says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is being established. Understand how your spouse expresses love builds emotional connection between you and your spouse. And it takes wisdom to build this house. Understanding what's going on, understanding her or his love language is crucial, because if you're speaking different love languages, you're expecting her to give you quality time or physical touch because that's your love language, yet the way she speaks to that is through acts of service, then you're just both missing the boat here, which is why it's so important to understand what is your spouse's love language. The second reason is unspoken conflict or emotional distance. Sometimes there's been hurt, maybe even something small that you both never resolved and never got talked about. And over time, this wall of resentment builds up, this wall of bitterness builds up. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 26, it tells us this: do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. And I tell a lot of couples when they're in this escalated conflict to call a timeout, take a break. And when you do take that break, to de-escalate, to calm down. And I tell people that it takes about at least 20 minutes. Dr. John Gottman says it takes about 20 minutes for the physiological body to calm down and the heart to calm down. When we take this break after being angry, we need to come back and discuss, either to resolve or to repair the relationship because of the things that was said and done. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. That verse isn't just poetic, it is also wisdom to deal with the things before distance becomes a disconnection. We grow apart, we stop talking to each other, and that small little thing, that unresolved thing that we talked about or didn't get settled, goes from something small and it just builds over time and it becomes cancerous, where it leads to resentment and bitterness and hateful things now being said. And then one straw that is said, one like that saying says, that one straw that comes on the camel's back, it just breaks everything. And now we're just saying things out of hatred. Remember 2 years ago when you did this, and 5 years ago when you said that? Your spouse was like, whoa, 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 where's this coming from? It's time for us to settle things and not wait till later on. The third reason is stress, burnout, or exhaustion. Now, let's be real. Raising kids, especially maybe you have kids under 5 or under 10, and you're working a full-time job, and you're going to church, and you have all these things, taking care of your household, that can be a lot. Affection can unintentionally get pushed to the bottom of the checklist, and it's not personal. Your spouse may be emotionally drained and have nothing left to give. But I love what Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 reminds us. It says, let us not become weary in doing good, but also let's remember to give each other grace. Allowing your spouse this opportunity, giving your spouse this grace, and say, you know what, I get it, I understand. Let's work through this together. And just continue to do your very best to help each other out. Remember, this relationship, this marriage, it's a two-person party. It's two people working together, where two have become one flesh. We're working together. The fourth reason is a lack of affection growing up. If your spouse didn't grow up in a home where affection was modeled, they may not know how to show it. This isn't a character flaw, it's a growth opportunity. Romans chapter 12 verse 10 says, be devoted to one another in love. It says to honor one another above yourself. That kind of love can be learned. Isn't that powerful? The lack of affection growing up is a reason why we have emotionless relationship. But the thing we have to remember is the Bible says to be devoted. Devote yourself. Be committed to one another in love. Let love be the thing that causes you to be that glue, to be devoted to one another. And it is to honor one another. Honor one another above yourself. Above yourself. So it's putting your spouse in this high regard, your husband, your wife in this high regard, being devoted to him or her. Why? Because that kind of love, that love can be learned. And the fifth reason is this: they don't realize that you are feeling unappreciated. Man, whew, that's lonely at times. Here's the truth: your spouse might think everything is fine, and they don't realize how much you're craving appreciation. This is where gentle, loving communication matters. And instead of saying things like, you never appreciate me, you never think about me, you don't know how much I do around the house. Instead of having these kinds of comments, try something like this. I feel unappreciated sometimes. I appreciate it if you take more notice, or I would appreciate it if you would say thank you once in a while. See how that comes out a little bit different? Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1, it says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. I love that verse. That's kind of something that I try to help people understand, is that the way you speak to people is important. How you say things is more or just as important as what you say. Because you could say, that's all right. Or you could say, that's all right. See how that comes out differently? One is with attitude, the other one comes off a little softer. It's how you say, not just what you say. So what can you do if you're in this place right now? Well, the first thing obviously is this: to pray first. Yeah, pray first. It's really having to run into the presence of God and bring this dilemma to Him. Bring your situation to Him. For any conversation, go to God. Ask Him to prepare your heart. I love that. Ask Him to prepare your heart and your spouse's, right? James chapter 1 verse 5 says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God. Let him ask God, right? Because the thing is, what's so important here is that you may not know how to deal with this dilemma and situation. So what should we do? For any conversation, go to God and pray. Bible says in James, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God. So come into the presence of the Lord and ask him for wisdom, ask him for guidance, ask him for direction. Ask him to give you the words that is needed to be said to show love and to honor your wife. The second thing is to speak up gently. Speak up gently. See, bring it up. This is talking about bringing it up when you're both feeling calm. Not in the heat of argument or when someone's tired. It's bringing things up when both of you are in this better state of mind, right? We don't bring things up if things are escalated. We make sure that we are both calm. And as would talk about in other videos, use I statements instead of blaming statements. Learn to complain healthy versus criticizing. Criticizing is condescending. Complaining healthy is simply having to serve up this complaint in a way that is acceptable, in a way that's palatable, right? And your spouse is able to receive it. Here, you may not agree, but at least it's keeping the conversation going by the way you say and bring up your complaints. The third thing is offer specific examples. You must say things like, when you hugged me before you left this morning, I really felt loved. Right? Affirm those things. Affirm when they do the right thing, because when what gets praised gets repeated. And so if you say things like, hey, when you texted me, I love you, or when you called me during your break, that really meant a lot to me. Thank you so much. See, those kinds of specific examples helps your husband, helps your spouse to recognize and realize, I got to do more of that. What gets praised gets repeated. So what do you do? Offer specific examples of the things that you liked and you loved and you enjoyed and you appreciated when they did it. The fourth thing is be the first to give. Lead with the kind of affection and lead with the kind of appreciation that you want. This is kind of similar to number 3, but maybe if that doesn't happen, you need to be the first to give. You need to be the first to show that appreciation and affection. You see, Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verse 38, he says, give and it will be given to you. And I know that verse is used for different context. However, you can also apply this to emotional connection. If your spouse is not giving emotional connection to you and appreciation to you, this is where you be the first to give. Be the first to give. Now, you may say, Frank, I do this all the time. I show affection and appreciation all the time, and it just doesn't get seen. I felt unseen. Well, number 5, this is what needs to be done. Consider counseling or a marriage mentor. Consider seeing a marriage therapist like myself. There's many others out there. Get counseling or go to someone in your faith community or a couple that you look up to and gain mentorship. Sometimes you just need outside help to get unstuck. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. It's important for us to go outside of our 4 walls and find those people, find that couple, find that asking our pastor, asking your elders, asking your good counsel, or just simply seeking therapy to get help. So if you're in a season where affection and appreciation feels distant, don't lose heart. Remember, you are not broken and your marriage isn't beyond hope and repair. With God's grace and having honest conversations and having a little courage, this season can change. If you've been enjoying my videos, please like and subscribe. I got more videos just like this and other facets and discussions. But thank you for joining me today. See you next time. Enjoy life.